It is opening night for the BC Lions in their home opener. BC Place. The Lions, of course, coming off a disappointing loss in their first game last week against the Calgary Stampeders. Here are our starting quarterbacks tonight, brought to you by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. It's way delicious. It's Wendy's.
So many doubts about how Marcus Crandall would perform taking over from the league's reigning most outstanding player, Kerry Joseph. Crandall looked pretty good, completing 2/3 of his passes, 278 yards. Some jitters early with those 2 picks, but you can see where Marcus Crandall got the job done. Jarius Jackson, of course, came on in relief of Buck Pierce. And that Lions offense never really seemed to get untracked, as Jackson just went 8 of 18. So he'll be looking to get things turned around after a good week of practice.
Well, we've had a couple of plays already. It's early in the first quarter here. We've already had an injury, a couple of 2-and-outs as well. This was just a punt return by Weston Dressler, and you can see the injury right here.
The right leg of LaRon Mitchell got caught in the turf just as he had planted and made contact there. You can see that ankle, perhaps knee, get rolled over a little bit. Tough guy to lose. LaRon Mitchell is a Canadian who they acquired in the preseason in the trade for running back Jamal Robertson, who went to Toronto. Mitchell is a terrific special teams player, but also a guy who can back up at all your secondary positions, including the corner.
Good field position here. Second time from scrimmage now for the Roughriders. And swallowed up in the backfield is Wes Cates. Brent Johnson right in on the tackle. Brent Johnson already has a sack in this game. 12:16 to go in the first quarter. Let's take a look at the Saskatchewan offense, of course, and in his office is Marcus Crandall, who fills in for Kerry Joseph, now a Toronto Argonaut.
Yeah, Marcus Crandall fortunate to have some great weapons to work with, and welcoming one back tonight. Matt Dominguez playing his first game since midseason last year after knee surgery. The offensive line, Gene Mikowski moves into guard with the arrival of Glenn January to take that left tackle spot.
Draw play again, and not getting close to the first down. Once again, it is Wes Cates, and so Jamie Borum will have to come out and kick this ball away and try to angle one to the corner. Let's take a look at the BC defense tonight, and of course their very impressive front four, including the most outstanding defensive player last year, Cam Wake.
Yeah, Cam Wake is the guy who stands out after the honors last year, but a terrific group all the way around. There's that linebacking core, which welcomes back Jamal Johnson, who sat out last week with injury. In the secondary, Ryan Phillips coming off a terrific year last year, which many considered him to be arguably the best defensive player in the league after he led the league in interceptions.
There's the most outstanding special teams player last year, Ian Smart. He's back at his 10-yard line. Borum tries to angle one now to the coffin corner. Nice kick, but Smart fields it, cuts back to the short side. And Jarius Jackson and the BC Lions will take over their 20-yard line with 11 minutes to go and a scoreless first. Wendy's CFL on TSN Friday Night Football is brought to you in part by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. It's way delicious. It's Wendy's. And by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people. Jarius Jackson, the starting quarterback, and a fumble right from the snap. The Riders converge. Who has it? Botched snap from the Lions.
That way?
It's Saskatchewan ball. An auspicious start tonight for the BC Lions.
So much has been said about the BC Lions' tough start last week. It's just an issue with the shotgun snap. Jackson looking to get on the move because he knows he's got to get stretched out to hand that ball off. He's trying to get to the point, handoff point, exchange point in a hurry. Takes his eyes off the ball.
Saskatchewan, number 57, is reporting as an eligible
turnover here potentially, given the field position. Ball on the 16-yard line.
Marcus Crandall. Saskatchewan Roughriders a chance to strike first here tonight. Two teams that don't like each other a whole lot. This has become a very intense rivalry. Mostly because they've been the two most powerful teams in the West the last few years. Crandall, movement on the line. Did the Lions jump or were they drawn offside? And they were drawn. And so this will move the ball back a little further.
Well, Saskatchewan had their big team in there.
Illegal procedure. Saskatchewan, number 67. 5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
Murray Clark is our head referee tonight.
He's on the right guard. Mike Abumetric jumped a little early on the play.
Matt Dominguez on the short side of the field, top of your screen, back with the Riders after knee surgery to Corey Grant on the near side of your field. Back to the original line of scrimmage, maybe 4 yards, and so now it will be second down. Chance to get it down to the 6-yard line or earlier.
You're going to see Corey Grant lined up as the outside man to the wide field. They went sprint to the wide side. Nice seal block on the play by Andy Fantus as well to help Marcus Crandall get the edge.
Six Packer receivers now. Crandall in some trouble. Flushed out of the pocket and will take off for the first down marker. And it looks like he got it.
There's a great decision-making by Marcus Crandall, Rod. He's a guy who's not noted by defensive coordinators as a guy who you really worry about on the scramble, but he's a veteran. He understands you got to pick your spots and when to run. Marcus Crandall doesn't like what he sees downfield. There's pretty good coverage here. He recognizes time to go. That pocket's closing in. He's got a chance to get to the edge because Cam Wake got pinned, and away he goes. Move it to within a yard of that first down marker.
Comes to the sideline. And here's a big third down play. Stephen Giles will handle the snap here. Third down and less than a yard. And looks like he may have it. Depends all on the spot. But his forward motion looks like he has the first down. They're going to bring the yardsticks out. Wally Buono not impressed with his team last week, nor were any of the BC Lions in that season opening loss to the Calgary Stampeders. It wasn't so much the loss, it was the way they lost.
Yeah, just very sloppy, un-BC Lion-like effort from this team. Wally Buono let everybody know where they stood this week as it was described as he got everyone's attention. And they're looking for a more focused effort, certainly a better week of preparation. Haven't seen the results so far as they put themselves in a hole here early though, Rod.
Crandall back in now. First and goal. Cates in the backfield. Takes the handoff. Aaron Hunt got a hand on him. And the Lions stop him after a gain of a couple of yards, but still 3 or 4 yards away from pay dirt.
Well, this is one of the things that's so impressive to me about this BC defense, and particularly their front four. And you look statistically at most defenses, you anticipate that the linebackers are going to lead the team in tackles. Some teams in this passing league, you'll see defensive backs lead the team in tackles, but the number of stops racked up by this front four is unbelievable. It makes the job to the guys behind them so much easier.
Tough down here. Has to throw to the end zone. Goes to the corner. And out of bounds. Matt Dominguez with a little tip drill. Was right in his mitts. Tipped it up. And you'll see he, according to the official, out of bounds.
Yeah, terrific concentration there by Matt Dominguez, but just not enough space to get it done.
Thought we might have another circus catch. Had one last night. There was one again tonight by a former rider in the Montreal game, Jamel Richardson. But look at this. A penalty against the BC Lions. And it is now 1st and goal.
Saskatchewan number 57 is reported as an eligible receiver.
Offside call against BC. And so now another chance here. Break and a chance maybe to bash the ball into the end zone. Long count here for Crandall. Kate stopped once, twice. Gobbled up and his helmet also off. Cameron Wake was already in the backfield.
You have to be concerned a little bit about the Saskatchewan Roughriders in a short yardage situation. Remember, their starting fullback, Chris Zarka, is out of the lineup with a foot injury. He's an important part of that short yardage team. You see Cameron Wake just breaking that one down at the point of attack. That's where they're trying to get that lead block through to. Once again, that BC Lions front four comes up big against the run.
And here's where you have to throw, because the run has not worked unless Crandall takes off himself here. They're going to have to throw it into the end zone again, at least try to. Crandall over the middle, knocked down. No penalty flags this time. And another big stop by the BC defense.
Yeah, it looks like the middle linebacker here. Javi Glatt right in the middle of your screen. He hangs back a little bit. Just gets the hands up at the right time. A little bit quicker reaction. Glatt might have had a pretty good shot at an interception on that one as they tried to get the ball through to Andy Fantus in the end zone.
Good week last week for Javi Glatt against the Stampeders, but again, he, like the rest of his teammates, said it was kind of sickening the way they played, especially in that first half. Luka Conji comes out. Little chip shot here. And the Roughriders are on the board, but very well should have had 7 points. They lead 3-0 here in BC. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by the 2008 GMC Sierra, professional grade. Marcus Crandall getting worked on here and sidelines. May see a little cramping here tonight. It's not a particularly hot day in BC, but under the big top here tonight, it's a little bit muggy. Stephen Giles kind of loosening up. He's the backup to Crandall. 3-0 Roughriders. Ian Smart has some room. Smart on his feet. Smart down the sideline. The Roughriders could not get Smart. Good field position here for Jarius Jackson and the Lions.
And here you see why Ian Smart was the league's most outstanding special teams player. Field return, very well set up, but then it's Ian Smart on his own, outrunning a couple of angles, fighting for those yards. He could just get one more, he'd still be running, Rod.
So Jarius Jackson, after that turnover, only resulted in 3 points, though. Play action out of the backfield. Green. Sean Lucas all over him. BC Lions offense, all the weapons for Jarius Jackson, of course, but the big story is their offensive line.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to rely a lot, of course, on Joe Smith tonight and his receivers. Paris Jackson off to a terrific start. 5 catches for 93 yards last week. But on this O-line, 2 new starters in there. Walter Stith at the left tackle spot. Rob Murphy, of course, off playing dad as his wife gave birth to triplets this week. And Dean Valley at right guard, replacing the injured Haji Razuli.
Haji Razuli has a hamstring problem. Jackson, the far side, and that was way overthrown. Clarence Coleman was the intended target. And for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, a couple of changes from last year. Big changes for the Grey Cup champions.
Yeah, some big names gone. Of course, Fred Perry out. John Chick moves over to his end position, and Kitwana Jones steps into Chick's spot. The linebacker positions, Reggie Hunt is out. Anton McKenzie, who was a backup last year, earns the promotion. And on the back end, they welcome back Omar Morgan, longtime Rough Rider who spent last year in Edmonton. Missed out on the Grey Cup, but happy to be back in green and white.
Paul McCallum will punt this away. Last week had a tough time in Edmonton with the winds. Trying to angle one. The bounce. Oh, what a kick. What a kick. The officials are talking right now, and they are saying it's a single. Just over the pylon. Nice kick. Almost a perfect kick. Veteran kicker Paul McCallum has seen the highs and lows in his CFL career. I don't think a kick like this will bother him too much on the result, but he almost had the perfect kick.
Yeah, Paul McCallum with great placement going to the coffin corner. You see that ball land right on the goal line. Just needed that one a couple inches shorter to get the perfect spot, but landing on the goal line qualifies as being in the end zone for the single.
3-1. Quick hitter by Marcus Crandall.
Easy.
And there's the newcomer that everybody's talking about. Had a great week last week. Darius Bowman.
Yeah, Bowman's CFL debut. 6 catches, 112 yards. He was actually filling in for Matt Dominguez last week. Played so well that with Dominguez's return, it's Corey Grant who gets bumped from the starting lineup in order to keep Bowman's productivity in there. And how about the height in this receiving core with Bowman at 6'4", Dominguez at 6'3", Fantuz at 6'4", against a secondary where no one's taller than 5'11".
Height, and some of them can also fly. On the out pattern to the first down marker, a perfect play for veteran Matt Dominguez. And last time he was in Rider colors, of course, was before his ACL injury. That has been a problem for Dominguez. Knees through the years, his 3rd ACL operation. Wanted to come back sooner last year. Was chomping at it, but did not.
Yeah, and a good decision, particularly with the 3rd injury, to be cautious and give that injury enough time to heal. Even this year, Matt Dominguez, of course, sat out week 1. Ready to go here in week 2.
Botch snap. Marcus Crandall can only fall forward. Well, let's go back to last year. And, you know, when this happened, I think a lot of Saskatchewan Rough Rider fans who thought that their team had a chance to win the Grey Cup thought, uh-oh, here it goes again. We lost one of our star players on this play.
Yeah, and Matt Dominguez was having such a fantastic season. And here on such an innocent-looking play, you see catching the ball looking like he's catching it in stride, but that left foot just got caught in the turf as he got bowled over. Just enough to tweak it. Again, with a recurring injury, you want to make sure and play it safe and keep him out longer.
Dominguez makes his first start here tonight of the new season. For Dominguez down the sideline, a little collision there with Tad Crawford. And so once again, the punt team will come out. Dominguez, I think, you know, the symmetry, of course, with Marcus Crandall. Dominguez had a good thing going with Kerry Joseph last year, so it's probably going to take a while to get the chemistry between these two.
Yeah, well, it may take some, but having said that, Matt Dominguez, although he hasn't been playing, has certainly been running some routes, catching some balls, and obviously this offseason, a lot of those coming from Marcus Crandall as they tried to work on that chemistry and timing.
Jamie Borum now. Almost had it blocked. Look back at the official after there was some contact after the kick, but there was no flag. But I'll tell you what, Jamie Borum's lucky that that was not blocked. The Lions came out roaring. 3-1 Riders. Adam Nicholson, rangy wide receiver, also plays on special teams, and he almost had a block here. See, his leg came up. Got Jamie Borum, who wanted the call, did not get it. Lions have the ball. Low scoring first quarter so far. First touch of the game for Joe Smith. Coming off a 1,500-yard season, 19 touchdowns last year.
Really a name where he stopped being an ordinary Joe, leading the league in rushing last season. You mentioned those 18 touchdowns as well. He's a guy that Jarius Jackson's going to have to rely on here a little bit.
Second down, 7. Claremont has the first down. They'll move the sticks. Jason Claremont quickly became one of the targets for Jarius Jackson when he came in after Dave Dickinson was injured last year. Also Paris Jackson, but this is what Jason Claremont does best.
Yeah, you're going to see Jason Claremont coming from the bottom of your screen. Just a little swirl route. Steps up and then spins to the outside, pivots to the outside, freezing that coverage and working out to the flat. 6 Packer receivers now for Jackson. To Paris Jackson, in and out of his hands. And knows that's one he'd like to have back. Yeah, Paris Jackson's a guy who's not going to drop too many. He's one who's worked very well with Jarius Jackson. Wide open here. Just let that one get into his body too much. You always want to catch that ball in your hands, away from your body if you can. Much softer target so you don't get that bounce. Both Jacksons took a belt there. Paris took a hit. So did Jarius after he threw that football. 1.5 minutes to go first quarter. 2nd and 10. Strike this time and not about to let this go. Say the best thing sometimes when your receiver drops one like that, go right back to him and get him some confidence. Yeah, exactly. And a guy like Paris Jackson, you probably don't have to worry too much about his confidence, but you just want to get him the ball. Such a dangerous weapon, a guy who's emerged so much in this offense over the last couple of years. Real breakout season for Paris Jackson last year. 962 yards.
33, Joe Smith. Tripped up by number 26, Scott Court. 2nd down.
Nowhere to go that time again for
no gain of play. 2nd and 10.
BC Lions. Joe Smith, what a year he had last year. He's a guy who doesn't really talk a lot. He's kind of mercurial in many ways. I used to call him Mysterious Joe here in BC. Does his talking with a football. Gets those legs moving. What a year he had for the BC Lions. 20 seconds to go first quarter. Wide open on the far side of the field. Clarence Coleman lunges forward for a first down.
Clarence Coleman is basically the 5th receiver in this BC Lions offense, but you know he's going to get a lot of time here. Watch him working on the outside. The 2 inside receivers are going deep, clearing them out. That gives Clarence Coleman lots of room to work. James Johnson, as we said, on the wide side, is given a pretty big cushion, but Jarius Jackson's got the arm to get it out there if they're going to give his receivers that kind of space.
Barring penalty, final play, first quarter. Not much fireworks yet offensively. Joe Smith, his best carry of the night, bulldozes for the first down. That will do it for the first quarter. Only a field goal and a single point. Wendy's Friday Night Football will continue.
Linda Owen of Abbotsford, you could win a 2009 Nissan Titan if a kickoff is returned for a touchdown in tonight's game, thanks to Safeway's Touchdown to Win promotion. And if a second kickoff is returned, you win $1 million. Let's take it back to Vancouver.
Not much on the board here. Our numbers after the first quarter brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
Tough to imagine with all the offensive weapons out there in this game that these two teams would only combine for 87 net yards in the first quarter. The difference, of course, being that one BC turnover, the fumble, which resulted in a field goal.
We talked about the rivalry between these two teams. It is not one that is a forced rivalry by any stretch. It's not a provincial rivalry. The reason is that the Saskatchewan Roughriders have been the team that has pushed the BC Lions the last couple of years.
Yeah, they have. BC has been such a dominant team over the last couple seasons, but not against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Saskatchewan actually holding an edge the last couple of years in this season series. Of course, their victory in last year's West Final doing nothing to change that trend.
There have been some moments on the field, off the field. There's been some trash talking that's gone on. But guaranteed, almost every time these teams have played the last couple of years, no matter what the game or the situation, it has resembled a playoff game, playoff type intensity. And of course, the BC Lions trying to avenge that loss in the West Final after their brilliant 14-win season. Jackson to the out pattern here. Corey Rogers to G. Simon down to the 10-yard line. G. Simon's first catch tonight. Let's go down to the sideline now. Joining us tonight is Sarah Orlesky. Sarah?
Thanks, Rod. Marcus Crandall is on the bench right now. They've wrapped up his leg with ice. The right leg looks like it could be the right hamstring. Stephen Giles will take the snaps when the Saskatchewan Roughriders take possession of the ball again. Guys?
Wow. Marcus Crandall for Stephen Giles next time out. Trying hard to bring down Joe Smith. Looks like he got a little banged up after his helmet got knocked off.
Joe Smith can expect a rough ride all night from this Saskatchewan Roughriders defense. Clearly a guy who's going to be a big part of the defensive game plan. See Scott Schultz in on the tackle. Another defender came over the top there. Tough to see who that was, but that was the shot that popped Joe Smith's helmet off.
Drive that started on their own 26. Trying to find pay dirt now. Second down. Jackson backpedals. And no, they're saying he's down. They're saying he's down. It looked like a touchdown for Coleman. Thought he had lunged forward, and so Clarence Coleman is stopped at the goal line.
Well, they had a mismatch here in terms of speed. The receiver Coleman ends up matched up on the linebacker, Anton McKenzie. But McKenzie's able to haul him down just in time. Nice help there from the halfback, Lance Frazier, who got to his feet. Terrific look there. Exactly where that ball came down.
And guess what they got? A first down. Second down and 2 on that play, and they got what they needed. So now 3 cracks at the end zone. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders are going to have to come up with a stand now. Awfully tough with number 33 in that backfield. There he is. There's the touchdown. Joe Smith delivers from the goal line.
Joe Smith picking up right where he left off last year, leading the league in touchdowns. You're going to see the left guard here, Kelly Bates, number 59, the middle of those massive bodies, comes around on the pole, nice kick out block, making sure that nobody can crash down and get to the point of attack. Well executed play by that BC short yardage team.
Couple of big plays there by the Lions, and what an impressive drive. Started on their own 26, and so now the BC Lions have an 8-3 lead. Stephen Giles at quarterback when we come back. Joe Smith punches one over from the goal line, and so the BC Lions have the first major here tonight.
Yeah, BC brings in a lot of big bodies on that short yardage team. Saw Kelly Bates, Lyle Green leading out to the wide side. Nice job by Rolly Lambala, the rookie fullback. All at that point of attack to prevent any penetration. Joe Smith goes in relatively unscathed considering all the big bodies down there.
Took a shot to his lip just before that, had that patched up. Dressler on the kick return. Not much room for him out there tonight, and so now the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who've had trouble moving the football here tonight, and now no Marcus Crandall. He's on the sideline, and Stephen Giles takes over.
Yeah, Saskatchewan Roughrider fans are going to get their first chance to see how that Fred Perry trade with Edmonton is paying dividends. Stephen Giles, of course, the central figure coming the other way in that trade. He had been buried on the depth chart a little bit with the emergence of Stephon LaForce in Edmonton. Became expendable there, but a valuable guy as a quarterback who's seen CFL defenses for a couple of years. A team looking for a little bit of depth with the loss of Kerry Joseph.
tonight, the loss of Marcus Crandall, their starter. Let's go down to Sarah once again with another update.
Thanks so much, Rod. We now have a more official update for you. Marcus Crandall will be reevaluated at the half. He's tweaked his hamstring. He will definitely not be back this half, but as said, they will reevaluate. It is possible that he might be back in the second. As for Ron Mitchell, they are taking him to the hospital. He's going to have x-rays on his leg. Guys.
All right, thank you, Sarah. So Stephen Giles gets his turn here tonight. From the shotgun now. And it looked like there was some motion on the line.
It's going to be interesting to see if this goes against the Riders. Maybe a new quarterback and different cadence. Just throwing that timing off.
Play clock was winding down as well.
Offside. Saskatchewan number 83. 5-yard penalty. It remains second down.
I think you're absolutely right. Andy Fantouz kind of jumped the gun there.
Yeah, you get so used to the pace and the tone of one quarterback's voice, especially when it's one guy taking the #1 reps. The Lions share those repetitions. Somebody new comes in. There can be a little bit of an adjustment period for the receivers and the offensive line.
Well, there was a lot of new in the offseason, including their head coach, Ken Miller. You just saw him. Now another new quarterback for them, Giles, and he is brought down by Aaron Hunt. Second sack for the Lions here tonight.
Those defensive tackles are so tough for the BC Lions. Aaron Hunt, of course, the Rookie of the Year 2 years ago. Continues to be a force, splits a double team to get to young Steve Giles in the backfield.
Borum. Ian Smart through his hands. Ball's on the ground. Finally picked up. When we talked about that last year, the way that Ian Smart handles punt and kick returns at times, puts his hands in the air and gives his coaches conniptions sometimes. That time, they were lucky to get it back. 8-3 BC.
Well, when you watch the instructional videos on how to field punts, it's not exactly the way Ian Smart is showing it. Typically, you expect guys to catch it more of a basket catch, underhanded. Ian Smart tries to handle the ball like a receiver with the hands above his head. You see the flaw in that. If you misjudge the ball, there's no safety net there. And that's where Ian Smart got caught on that one. You don't have your body behind there to help secure it.
Jackson, swing pass. Joe Smith is brought down. It's awfully tough to criticize a guy who was the most outstanding special teams player, but it goes to show you that everybody has faults and things to work on. He's also made some spectacular grabs that way, but I remember Jacques Chapdelaine and some of the BC Lions last year saying, if there's only one thing we'd like to maybe tell him not to do at times, it's that.
Yeah, it's so true, but as you mentioned, when a guy makes so many plays, sometimes you let him get away with not exactly being textbook in his approach.
That could have been disastrous, though, for the Lions, as it turned out. Second down and 6 now. Passing down, Jackson, quick one to the sideline, and once again, it's Coleman making the grab and taking out one of the advertisers.
Keep an eye on the free safety here, Scott Gordon. He's going to come from depth on this play and sneak up. He's timing up this cadence to try and hit the line running. He ends up getting lost in the blocking scheme because of the timing. If he was up there earlier, they'd be able to pick him up. Because he's not, he's got a free run, and that rushes the throw from Jarius Jackson.
Joe Smith again.
33, Joe Smith.
So far, so good for this offensive line. Again, the last couple of seasons, it's been talked about that this is the best offensive line in the land, especially with Rob Murphy and Jason Jimenez, who help a lot opening holes, protecting Joe Smith and Jarius Jackson.
Yeah, and this is where a situation like tonight with those guys out of the lineup, Joe Smith becomes that much more important. Offensive linemen like to get into a rhythm, and knowing they have a back like Joe Smith who can deliver if they give him an opportunity, they can use him to help the offensive line get their confidence and rhythm.
hands of Coleman. Speaking of those O-linemen, we should pass on our congratulations to Rob Murphy, who's watching down in Florida. Proud daddy of triplets and not available to the Lions tonight. But let's take a look at one of the favorite targets year in and year out, G. Simon.
Yeah, G. Simon got the position he wanted on the corner. James Johnson was looking for that ball because he had a clear line to the end zone on that post route. But the ball was long gone by then.
Weston Dressler is back. 30-yard line. Dressler cutting back. And the Lions will take over at the 42-yard line. 8.5 minutes to go in the second quarter. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. When you're in the zone, time almost stands still. Getting into the zone begins with Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. Stephen Giles behind center. Play action, rolling to his left. And a nice catch for a first down made by Andy Fantuz.
A nice play action there by the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Good job by Stephen Giles. He got the run fake. You're going to see the end. Brent Johnson, he's going to come from the left side of your screen. Bites in a little bit on that run fake. You're going to see Brent Johnson right here. Sneaks in a little bit, collapsing on the run. Stephen Giles keeps that ball hidden. That buys him the time to get to the outside and allows Andy Fantuz's route to develop coming across the field.
First catch of the night for Fantuz, a 19-yard gain. Giles to the air again. Sideline for Corey Grant. LeVar Glover knocks him out of bounds.
This is a play that the Saskatchewan Roughriders have used a couple of times here tonight. With sprint out, used it earlier with Marcus Crandall, now with Stephen Giles. Andy Fantuz is going to be your inside receiver. He's going to come in from the left side of your screen right here. Pins Derek Wake to the inside, so they've got the slot back blocking on the defensive end. That allows the guard to get to him and seal him, and allows your quarterback to break the perimeter, break contain, get to the outside for a shorter throw.
Giles for Fantuz and picked off. Reggie Miles. And that was an easy pick for Reggie Miles, right into his hands on an overthrow to Andy Fantuz.
Yeah, you see Reggie Miles, who comes into the secondary in nickel and dime packages. The overthrown ball, as you said, over the shoulder catch. He almost makes a big mistake here going back towards that end zone, and then realizes that he'd be giving up a safety there. A little bit of pressure from Aaron Hunt may have affected the trajectory of that throw a little bit. High release causing the overthrow. See Reggie Miles, former Cincinnati Bengal, with a strong CFL debut, 7 tackles and 1 sack against Calgary last week, and now has his first CFL interception to add to that resume.
BC Lions taking a timeout here. That pick coming at the 2-yard line. Well, tonight was a doubleheader. Montreal Alouettes beating the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Al's impressive so far, 2-0. The Bombers come back short-circuited tonight. They start the season 0-2, and next week we've got another doubleheader for you on Thursday. It's the Calgary Stampeders in Montreal. And then after that, the Toronto Argonauts in Edmonton to take on the Eskimos after their big win last night at Commonwealth Stadium.
How about that catch by Jason Tucker?
Oh, everybody's been talking about that. There have been some great catches to open this 08 season. Jarius Jackson has to take off. Head forward, takes a big hit, a fumble, and I think Saskatchewan has it. It is Rough Rider football.
Well, Jarius Jackson's second fumble of the game, both deep in BC Lions territory. One on the trouble handling a shotgun snap, this time on the scramble. So important to look after ball security, especially in this territory. Keep an eye on the corner. Omar Morgan here coming up in support. He delivers a lick with his shoulder, and that pops it out.
Marcus Adams picks up the football, but watch Omar Morgan right here. Pop.
Nice reaction there by the Roughriders secondary when they saw that scramble. Eddie Davis was the man who came up to make the tackle from behind, and Omar Morgan with that secondary support with the hit.
What a break for the Roughriders, but just before they could snap the football, Wally Buono and the BC Lions threw down a challenge flag.
Sometimes you have to realize that coaches will throw a challenge flag not necessarily because they believe 100%.
BC is challenging the ruling on the field that the ball carrier fumbled it before he was down by contact.
Wally Buono may not believe here 100% that Jarius Jackson was down, but Wally Buono's looking at the scoreboard, not a lot of points on the board, and he's looking at the field position and thinking, this is a worthwhile gamble.
6:13 to go in the second quarter. Also, you know, at times the coaches in the boxes get the feeds and the video, and that's relayed downstairs. Maybe they saw something in the video that might propel them to throw that flag. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, that's a process that can take a few seconds, and BC Lions got that flag down just before the Roughriders snapped the football. No doubt they saw it being close enough to make it worth throwing that flag.
We'll get a look here. Has the ball, no knee. Was the ball out before that knee touched the ground?
Yeah, I think this ruling is going to stand. He's close. But it appears that that ball was freed just before the knee hit. Remember, the evidence needs to be conclusive in order to overturn an on-field decision by the officials.
Murray Clark did not take much time under the hood. Here is the verdict.
After review, the ball carrier clearly fumbled the ball before he was down by contact. The ruling on the field stands. First down, Saskatchewan.
And maybe it was one of those just to disrupt the flow. We'll see how it works for Wally Buono and the BC Lions. The Riders now a chance to get to the end zone. Keep in mind, they've been down here a couple times already tonight. The other end of the field, and Marcus Crandall and company could not solve the puzzle of that front seven.
Yeah, such a strong group, and that some of the things that they're able to do behind mixing coverages, sometimes bring as many as 7 defensive back, can make it difficult to throw the ball as well.
Play action, Giles from the backfield. This is a touchdown, Andy Fantuz. No problem this time.
Well,
Stephen Giles with a good play.
And Rod, this is a play that they set up by using Andy Fantuz as a blocker previously. Here you're going to see him motion down again, looking like he's going to block Cameron Wake, and then spins off of it and goes to receiver. They've seen him come down as a blocker before. As soon as he does that, they forget about him in coverage, and Andy Fantuz ends up wide open. This is what I love about the chess game between the coaches. They set this up by running the other play, using him as a blocker a couple times, and then come back to that.
Fantuz the hold. Luka Kanji the point after. So the Saskatchewan Roughriders stifled a couple of times in the red zone, not this time. Good play action from Giles. Touchdown Fantuz. 10-8 Riders. Following the touchdown by Andy Fantuz, Ian Smart scurries up to the 39-yard line. Andy Fantuz, his first major of the year, had 7 touchdowns last year, and of course was the most outstanding Canadian in the Grey Cup game.
Yeah, Andy Fantuz was one of the guys who really stepped up in the absence of Matt Dominguez last year. Everyone will remember his struggles early in the season, at one point actually being pulled from the starting lineup after dropping a few passes. But in sophomore year, rebounded very well. Hey, Mom. Approaching that 1,000-yard mark last season, Fantuz finished up 22 yards shy at 978 on the season. But a lot of those came in the last 8 weeks without Dominguez.
Joe Smith. Fantuz, one of those that of course, in the offseason. Now John Chick getting into it.
Well, John Chick is upset about the block delivered here by Jason Claremont. BC uses their receivers a lot as part of their blocking scheme, coming down in what's called a slush block. You're going to see Jason Claremont come in from the right side of your screen. John Chick is lined up as the right end. You've got Claremont motioning across. He's going to move up to the right side of the screen. Chick is the end to that side. Watch the fighting, and then comes in with a bit of a late shot. John Chick took exception to that.
2nd and 8. Almost picked that time, going for G-Roy Simon. Saskatchewan Roughriders have been the beneficiaries tonight of BC Lion turnovers.
Yeah, they sure have. All 10 points put up by the Riders to this point have come up as a result of turnovers. 2 fumbles by Jarius Jackson. Very nearly a 3rd turnover here with that deflected ball popping up in the air. Free safety Scott Gordon was just unable to get underneath that one.
Paul McCallum, the former Rough Rider. Maligned, of course, in Saskatchewan for a while after a missed field goal here in BC Place. Now aligned, became a Grey Cup champion, of course, and the rest for him was history. But a big night for turnovers by the BC Lions so far, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders are leading because of them.
Yeah, as a coaching staff, you'll always say control the things you can control. This is one of them. Jarius Jackson trying to move a little early on the shotgun snap. Lost possession, and of course on the scramble there, big stick by Omar Morgan to pop the ball free, in the recovery by Marcus Adams, which set up the Andy Fantu's touchdown. The key to those turnovers, not just the change of possession, but the location, both deep in Lions territory, basically handing the Rough Riders points. They didn't even have to work for those 10.
Giles in trouble. Wrestle to the ground. Sack number 2 tonight for Cameron Wake.
Cameron Wake continues to prove that most outstanding defensive player award was no fluke in 2007, picking up right where he left off. You leave him unblocked. He scooches down a little bit on that run, but he knows his responsibility. Do not let that quarterback escape the pocket. Maintain that outside leverage and wrapped him up. How about the numbers from this BC defensive line? The sacks, Wake leading the way with 16. You've got the bookend, Brent Johnson, on the other end, who of course was outstanding defensive player the year before. This is such a dominant group.
2nd and long, here they come again. Good play for Cates. Cutting back now, Wes Cates. But will be short of the 1st down. And good recognition from Stephen Giles, because he was meat back there. They were coming.
Yeah, this one looks like a planned screen. It was a bit of a jailbreak from the Lions defensive line. You're going to see all 4 yellow jerseys burst through here. Wes Cates is the back in the backfield, counts 3, slips through. He's got his 3 big bodies in front of him, Mikowski, O'Day, and Abu Metric. Turns it up. Nice gain, but not enough.
10-8 Riders will be back to BC. Stephen Giles taking over for Marcus Crandall, who had an ice bag on his leg, but no longer. Maybe we will see Marcus Crandall. Seems to be limping a little bit still on the sideline. Giles, however, has given the Riders a lead thanks to BC turnovers. Jamie Borum. Hopper here for Smart. Ian Smart brought down heavily at the 25-yard line.
Lions begin this drive 1st and 10 to 27.
TSN is your home for NASCAR. Tomorrow night, the track heats up at the Daytona International Speedway. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Coke Zero 400. Live coverage begins at 7 Eastern, 4 o'clock. For those of you out here on the West Coast, available on TSN HD. Well, let's see if the BC Lions can hang on to the football, and most importantly for them tonight, move the football. Just the 1 touchdown so far. No real big game plays. Jason Claremont close to a 1st down.
You see what Jason Claremont brings to the table, that strength as a receiver. Takes a good lick there from Omar Morgan. After coming across the field, you'll see Claremont lines up as your inside guy. Just running a quick out route here. He's got the other two clear in space for him. Good reaction by Omar Morgan. And comes up and he knows Claremont's going to drop that shoulder on him and try to use that strength. But Morgan grabs cloth and hangs on. Good play, good tackle when you're out on that island known as the short side corner.
Just short of the first down. Second and inches.
BC Lions, of course, over the last couple of years, no matter if it's been Dave Dickinson, no longer here, of course, Jarius Jackson, who took over and won 9 of his 11 starts, or even Buck Pierce. The thing that's really identified them as a powerhouse in the West is their ability to make the big plays as well. We have not seen that so far in this first half. The biggest play from scrimmage was only that pass to Paris Jackson.
Yeah, and
we'll do that from now on.
What the defenses have been managing to accomplish. This is the recognition that goes on when you have two teams that have played each other so much, particularly in big games over the course of the last couple of years. They know the BC Lions want to try and get the ball deep to a guy like G. Roy Simon tonight, limiting them to that 14-yard gain being the biggest one.
Jarius Jackson carrying on second down, and it's a first down now. And maybe that says something about the rivalry too, and two very good defenses, the way that they play here, and it's really even heated up early in the season.
Yeah, it sure has. These two teams are picking up right where they've left off. BC, a great deal of continuity from last year, very few roster changes. Saskatchewan, some big names gone, but the people stepping in their places for the most part are guys who have been in this organization. So for them as well, there are guys who still hold that same animosity towards the BC Lions.
Jackson to Claremont. Slipped a little bit, and once again Jason Claremont held short of the first down. Under 2 minutes to go now in the second quarter, and has not been an offensive display by any stretch so far here tonight.
No, we talked about the turnovers, the offensive mistakes leading to the points for Saskatchewan. Neither team doing a terrific job of moving the ball up to this point. No big plays. Joe Smith has been the #1 weapon for BC up to this point on the ground.
Smith and Lyle Green in the backfield. Joe Smith will be stopped short, still on his feet though. And Joe Smith probably should have gone down because it would have been 3rd and maybe 1. And now they're going to have to kick the football away. He lost a lot of yardage.
Yeah, it's so true. As a running back, your natural instinct is to stay up and keep your feet, fight for yards. But in this case, given the field position, Joe Smith should have gone down where he had that forward momentum. How about James Johnson coming off the edge, the cornerback with the big stick on Joe Smith, a guy to whom he gives up about 40 pounds.
And Maurice Lloyd as well, the middle linebacker. Yeah, but James Johnson coming off a great performance in the Grey Cup game. 5 interceptions in his last 2 games, a couple last week. So big part of that Rough Rider defense. Saskatchewan will get the ball back here. The chance to put some more points on the board here before halftime, but points have come at a premium here tonight. Callum. This one angled. The backspin on the football. No yards call coming as Dressler is down at the 28-yard line.
Well, a good job by the BC Lions in coverage, but maybe a little bit too good. It looks like this flag is going to be no yards.
So can Stephen Giles put some more points in the board?
BC number 25. 5-yard penalty, first down.
66-year-old rookie coach Ken Miller, who has said that he's never had to do so much talking in his life. Not only as a head coach, not only with the media, but to fans on the streets who are wishing him well in his first year taking over from Kent Austin, who became a superhero after what he did with the Riders last year.
Yeah, welcome to life as the head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Community relations, a big part of the job.
Giles, good protection this time. Unloads downfield for DJ Flick. And Flick down on the turf right now, and he is really in some pain here. Looked like he might have come down awkwardly on his ankle.
You see DJ Flick holding that left ankle as he goes down. You can see he's got a step on the halfback Corey Banks, but that ball is hanging up there, so he's got to hold up for it. Watch that left leg.
Oh no. Oh, that is awful to look at. We saw one last night in Edmonton.
Holding. Now keep watching as they get up. Corey Banks'
second down
reaction when he sees DJ Flick's leg.
And we saw last night similar situation with devastating leg injury, serious leg injury, and this one obviously is as well for DJ Flick. That's the first time they went to him tonight, and he's become such a threat for them. And we will take a break and come back to BC Place in a moment with DJ Flick on the field. Never a good scene when a player has to leave on a cart. We wish DJ Flick the very best. Such a great season last year with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Sarah Orlesky will give us an update, but you saw the replay. Nothing else has to be said.
DJ Flick, such a valuable weapon in this offense. 3,000-yard seasons, including last year, which he led the Riders in receiving. No sooner do these guys get Matt Dominguez back in their lineup, and they lose DJ Flick for what appears to be a long time.
2 nights in a row now. We saw Julian Jenkins last night. Serious leg injury. That is one as well. So the Riders now. Minute to go before halftime. Giles, look out. Lets it go. Matt Dominguez. It's picked off. Barron Miles.
Well, this is a ball that was forced by Stephen Giles in a situation where he's got to take care of the football. The pressure's going to come from the backside, right side of your screen, number 95, Ricky Foley. He's going to get the hit. Giles feels that coming, forces that ball up. And on the back end, when you've got a veteran free safety like Barron Miles, he's licking his chops at a ball like this. Coming over to help out his corner, Dante Marsh, goes up and makes a big play to turn the ball over around midfield for his team.
Career interception number 50 for Barron Miles.
Tremendous job basically playing center field. His job is to stay over the top, get to the sidelines, and help his corner. He did it perfectly.
And a strike. Jarius Jackson, after that turnover, trying to turn it into some points here. Clarence Coleman again. He's had a few balls thrown his way tonight. He's done a nice job.
And the Lions get into that no-huddle offense. Under a minute left, 51 seconds to go here. See if Jarius Jackson can execute, get some points on the board.
Looking for Paris Jackson. Right at the first down marker. And so the Lions looking to take the lead, heading into the locker room, moving the ball efficiently now.
That Jackson to Jackson connection was hot for the BC Lions last year after Jarius took over under center. And they're continuing. We mentioned off the top, good start to the season last week for Paris Jackson, 5 catches for 93 yards. You saw the timing between those two. Sprint out combined with an out route right at that first down marker, also to get out of bounds and stop the clock.
Takes a big hit. Flag on the play, and that was probably on that hit. Geroy Simon took a big hit last week. Calvin Bannister of the Calgary Stampeders took a lick there. This is what Geroy Simon's done for so many years, though. Just hang on to the football.
Yeah, and you're going to see Jarius Jackson really threads the needle on this one. James Johnson took a gamble.
Major foul, face mask. Saskatchewan number 15, half the distance to the goal line, first down.
36 seconds to go before the half.
First and goal.
And now first and goal. Lance Frazier.
And a tough call against Lance Frazier. His hand ends up on Geroy Simon's face mask because Simon is falling down. You've got to call it because it's a black and white rule. It's one they may want to take a look at after the season.
In the end zone. Just at the goal line. Harris Jackson again. Second time here tonight that the BC Lions have been stopped right at the goal line when it looked like it had touchdown written on it.
You saw in that replay, he was stopped just outside the goal line, unable to get that foot across the plane.
Last time, of course, you know who got the football. Chances are he'll get it again. He does. But the Saskatchewan Roughriders knew it as well. There's a penalty flag. The far side of the field.
BC Lions went right back to the same play that hit pay dirt last time. Roughriders D saw it coming.
28 seconds now.
Offside. Saskatchewan number 45. Automatic first down.
Mike McCullough. So another crack here, at least a couple more cracks.
Mike McCullough right at the bottom of your screen, end of the line, leans forward, but apparently from the officials' view down the line, felt that he was encroaching on that 1 yard by his alignment.
Boy. Smith again. And touchdown again. Joe Smith. Second tonight. And he's like automatic when you give him the football in that range.
Yeah, pretty tough to stop a 230-pound back who accelerates as well as Joe Smith, especially when he gets the kind of blocking that he does here. Watch that push at the point of attack. Jarius Jackson and the offense stay in here, Rod, as it looks like they're going to go for two here.
25 seconds to go before halftime, so the Riders might get one more shot at it, but Lions going for two and won't get it. So they have a 4-point lead right now. Another touchdown for Joe Smith.
Well, this is an interesting decision by Wally Buono to go for two. The touchdown gave them a 4-point lead, which means that a touchdown would be required from Saskatchewan to take the lead. And of course, a lot of time left in this football game. Whether it was 5 or whether it was 6, a touchdown would still put them behind. So I'm not sure the rationale for that decision, but we'll try to find out.
Joe Smith, second of the season, second tonight. Had 19 last year, 18 rushing, 1 receiving. Jarius Jackson did a nice job. After the turnover. Now let's go back and take a look at this penalty. Mike McCullough lining up. Now, could be a moot point, but again, if it is stopped here, it becomes a 3rd down play.
The argument that you're going to get, it certainly didn't appear that Mike McCullough's feet were over the line, but it looked like he was leaning into the neutral zone. His upper body and splitting hairs on a play where the Saskatchewan defense looked like they stopped him at the 2-yard line, which is far less automatic.
Dressler again. 23 seconds. Dressler finds a hole. Dressler still on his feet. Eating up a lot of the clock. He brings it to the BC 52-yard line. Now 10 seconds. Luka Conji, pretty good leg. They would probably need to do a quick hitter here and then maybe still line up. And Conji starts warming up. Who knows? They might get a shot at here to get some points on the board.
Yeah, look for Saskatchewan to run Probably a quick out, something near the sideline so they can get that clock stopped as well, just to gain a few more yards, an inch within Luca Conji's range.
Conji has kicked one from 53 yards in the past.
Being indoors, wind up, clearly not a factor.
8 seconds to go. Should try to get out of bounds or get rid of it. 3 seconds and a penalty flag just as he threw the football, and this could be huge here.
Well, Steve Giles just showed his inexperience on this play. On 2 counts. First of all, the amount of time that he wasted. He's got to get rid of that football. But also, he threw that ball after he had crossed the line of scrimmage, so the penalty's going to go against Saskatchewan and move them even further back. With now not
Legal
enough
forward
time.
pass, Saskatchewan number 9. He was over the line of scrimmage. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
He probably could have
Saskatchewan number
scampered out of
57
bounds quicker.
quicker.
Still had a second left.
You're going to see, there's your line of scrimmage. Keep an eye on your quarterback. Stephen Giles.
There he's over.
Well over.
Well over. Had he just taken that path, they still would have had a second, and it might have been a shot for Conji. Now they just, instead of using their leg, they just have to take the knee. Boy, a very defensive first half, and a lot of subplots here. Marcus Crandall going down with injury. DJ Flick, a devastating injury to him. Turnovers costly, both sides of the football.
Yeah, turnovers have really given the Saskatchewan Roughriders their best opportunity here. That's where their points have come from.
And a turnover proves costly as well. 2 touchdowns by Joe Smith. 14-10 BC at the half on Wendy's Friday Night Football on TSN.
Live at the half is brought to you by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
Welcome back. CFL on TSN Friday night. Dave, Jock, Matt, and Chris. 14-10 in a game where points are kind of at a premium. A decision made by Wally Buono not to go for the extra point. It's a 4-point lead. And
drives me crazy.
Drove Dwayne Ford crazy.
Oh, it's my pet peeve. What, you have a crystal ball? You're telling me that 1 point is definitely not going to be enough? You need 2 now at the end of the second half? Come on. Unless there's 5 minutes to go in the game, kick the single point, you're going to need it at some point.
And the offside call, Matt?
Yeah, it wasn't on McCullough. Clearly it was on Kiwanis Jones. His hand just crossing the line of scrimmage. You know, McCullough's clearly on sides. Just a missed call by the official.
Yeah, but somebody was offside, so the right call was made. Smith gets his second touchdown of the game. Let's talk about both quarterbacks. Both interesting stories right now. Start with the guy with the lead. Jarius Jackson, who's made 2 mistakes and led to all of Saskatchewan's points.
Well, he's made 2 big mistakes, and really he's only had 2 good series in the game, the 4th and the 9th possession for the BC Lions. Let's take a look at the 4th possession because this is good football. First and foremost, he finds Jason Claremont. Nice pass, nice velocity, accuracy into the hands. Claremont takes the ball, gets extra yards. Then he goes to Paris Jackson once again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, throws the football, completion. Good job, automatic first down. Then to Clarence Coleman. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gets the football, gets rid of it, long, wide out. Takes the football, moves it up, and then this is important. Being able to do the play action, boot around, look downfield, not identify, and run. Good job by Jarius Jackson. The 4th and the 9th series really are the only productive times that he's had as a BC quarterback. They're trying to establish him as that quarterback, but only 2 good series.
I agree Jarius has done some good things, Schultze, but at this point in the game with the backup quarterback, Stephen Giles, in the ball game, I think your mindset has to change. If you're Jarius Jackson, you can't be fumbling the football, particularly in your own end, and he did it a couple of times. And your mindset just changes when you're dealing with a team like Saskatchewan with a guy like Giles in the game. Don't you think, Matty? You can't expect that Giles is going to drive the field on you.
Well, we already see he's making young mistakes because Stephen Giles has come in. Obviously, he's in love with his arm strength. He's trying to push the ball down the field, and he's got 2 picks as a result. So in my opinion, what Stephen Giles needs to do is be a good caretaker of the football, not try to be the hero. Hey, Marcus Crandall's got 2 rushes for 11 yards. He's the leading rusher for the Saskatchewan Roughriders right now. Where is Wes Cates? Wes Cates got 5 carries for 9 yards. You've got a young quarterback in Stephen Giles running your offense. Get Wes Cates involved in this football game. Do much like Marcus did last week. Start dinking and dunking him to death.
I'd love to see him use bootleg. I mean, use play action. That's how I'd use Cates. I mean, it's the age-old dilemma. When you have an inexperienced quarterback, if you hand the ball off a lot, you're going to put him in second and long invariably, and he's going to do things like we saw him do, throw interceptions. So
his first series down the goal line, they play action to West Cates, and they hit Van Toos for a score. That's the type of game you're looking for.
That's what they want to do.
Yeah, but West Cates is a closer. He's not necessarily an every down back on the first to third quarter.
Good chance for Rider fans, though, to get a look at Giles, the guy who came over in the Fred Perry deal, along with the second-round pick, the 10th overall pick in the draft. They got a Canadian lineman by the name of Jonathan St. Pierre, who they love. Earlier tonight, in game number 1, it turned out to be a big night for the Montreal Alouettes. We'll pick this one up early first quarter. Look at this catch here by Jamel Richardson, a former Rider, one-handed all the way. It was 28-0 at one point, but Winnipeg chipped away. Roberts scored a touchdown. Armstrong scored a touchdown, and then Javon Johnson with a 79-yard interception return, and it's a 7-point game. But Montreal puts it away. Avon Coburn right up the middle. Anthony Calvillo with a huge night. 372, 4 touchdowns, 57 yards rushing. Montreal is 2-0. Winnipeg 0-2. This one is still in the balance. Will Crandall be back? Will Jarius Jackson clean things up? This is a good game between two West Division rivals on a Friday night. Here are the halftime stats brought to you by Tim Hortons, always fresh.
Moron, that's a bit harsh.
A little harsh, indeed.
A little harsh. Hey, listen, Matty talked about the rushing. Maybe wanted to see more of it. But, hey, Saskatchewan and Cates is averaging 2 yards to carry. Smith, 1.5 yards to carry. I'm not sure these coaches are going to want to run the ball against a couple of stingy defenses.
You call me a moron sometimes.
I would never.
Sometimes you do.
On air, David. On air.
Sometimes you do.
Okay, Moran, just go to break, would you?
It is the BC Lions home opener. Welcome back, everyone. TSN, the exclusive broadcaster of the CFL, proud home now of the Grey Cup. That's where the BC Lions want to get to this year. Thought they could get there last year, but ran into a bump in the road named the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So the BC Lions lead 14-10 heading to the second half.
Yeah, and going into this second half, both teams have a couple things to concentrate on. For the Saskatchewan Roughriders, they got to concentrate on this guy, Wes Cates, for two reasons. Number one, he's their best offensive football player. Number two, they've got a young quarterback in there. Let him hand off the ball, throw some short passes, and get his confidence. For the BC Lions, plain and simple, protect the football. Saskatchewan hasn't been able to move it offensively. All 10 of their points have come off turnovers, which both happen to be Jarius Jackson fumbles.
Jamie Borum will kick this off to get the third quarter underway. Riders already without their starting quarterback and now one of their star receivers. Ian Smart ducks, has a seam right into the belly of Jamie Borum. Takes him down near the 40-yard line. Let's take a look at the comparisons for the two quarterbacks. Of course, Crandall's out, but Stephen Giles 4 of 7. Jarius Jackson 139 yards so far.
Yeah, Jarius Jackson is delivering an efficient performance, completing 2/3 of his passes. Again, just has to concentrate on that ball security. Stephen Giles, same reminder, throwing 2 interceptions so far. They've just got to let him settle into a rhythm and remind him, be patient. Take your time, make good decisions with that football.
Twin backs now. Play action. Jackson sprints now, head down. 6 yards for Jarius Jackson. Takes a couple hits there.
Kidwana Jones, who is the end to the field, bit pretty hard on the run fake. Crashed down inside, and Jarius Jackson saw that. Quick boot to the outside.
All the talk this week about the starting quarterbacks, and you know, they've always seemed to have a starting quarterback controversy here in BC, don't they?
Yeah, always that great competition in training camp between Jarius Jackson and Buck Pierce. no clear winner. Pierce was anointed the starter, having had a higher completion percentage, but we see Jarius Jackson here in week 2.
Paris Jackson tried to one-hand one. And so now, Paul McCallum will come out and boot this one away. It's going to be tough for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, though. Again, all of their offense has been mounted because of turnovers. Their defense has done a nice job. But can Stephen Giles get into the flow? A guy who has not been a starting quarterback, forced into the play today. And it's so hard when you don't get those kind of reps and get that rhythm when you are suddenly pushed into the fray.
Yeah, it really is. And Stephen Giles is a guy who's been there throughout training camp, so he knows the whole playbook. But sometimes you want to shorten that up a little bit and simplify things. Just let him work with the things he's most comfortable using.
Dressler trying to find the edge. Nice return for him. And Giles will go back to work.
Hey Saskatchewan, last year you showed your rider pride by donating 42,000 pounds of food to Purelator Tackle Hunger. This year, bring your donation on July 19th and say hello to your Grey Cup. Purelator, official courier of the CFL.
CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Nissan's Make the Call. Play on cfl.nissan.ca for your chance to win a trip to the Grey Cup. Marcus Crandall, the starter tonight, out of the game. Stephen Giles came in relief. Now out of the game with clipboard in hand, and the Riders have gone to their third string quarterback. Not Kerry Joseph in number 4, although they probably would like him right now. Darian Durant behind center. Wes Cates gets the call. You're going to see probably more Wes Cates here. Darian Durant has been with the Roughriders the last couple of years, but you just haven't seen much of him.
No, the good news for Roughrider fans is Darian Durant has a completion percentage of 100. The bad news, Darian Durant in his 3rd year has only thrown 1 pass in his CFL career.
Played in North Carolina. He's done a lot of watching. Kerry Joseph and Marcus Crandall. And now he gets a chance to play against a great BC defense. Durant throws it away, and there's his first incompletion. Wasn't going to be perfect.
Well, this was a question that was bound to come up with the Saskatchewan Roughriders this year. What happens if Marcus Crandall goes down? The lack of experience behind him. One of the things they were so pleased about a year ago was knowing if anything ever happened to Kerry Joseph, they had a veteran guy in Marcus Crandall who could step in. They like their young guys, but the question is, are they ready to play yet? And that remains a huge question mark, Rod. Eric
Tillman just in our booth giving us an update on a couple of injuries. Right now, must be shaking his head on what's gone on here tonight with his quarterbacks and a couple of his other players. With more, let's go down to Sarah Oleski.
Thanks very much, Rod. Marcus Crandall came out after the half, and they've taped up his hamstring, but he is listed as doubtful to play in this game, although they do say that in case of emergency, they do believe that he could go back in. As for LaRon Mitchell, he is believed to have a broken leg. He has gone to the emergency room. Also joining him at the emergency room is DJ Flick. It's believed that he has a broken ankle.
All right, thank you, Sarah. 14-10. BC here. Jarius Jackson after a 2 and out. Goes up the gut this time with Mr. Reliable. Joe Smith, 2 touchdowns tonight, both 1-yard plunges for Smith.
BC Lions have done a pretty good job of mixing things up using different receivers. We've seen Clarence Coleman get involved a little bit. Of course, the usual suspects, G. Simon, Jason Claremont, Paris Jackson, moving the ball well, but the turnovers for them remain the story. If they can clean that up and finish some drives, they could run away with this thing with how their defense is played.
Downfield, oh, G. Roy Simon dropped it. Simon catches that. That's the biggest play of the game for the BC Lions. We have not seen a lot of big plays in this game.
Yeah, and this is one that's a tough catch, but one that G. Roy Simon's going to make 9 times out of 10. You're going to see he's got to twist his body at the last moment. Just as arms came around, he was unable to squeeze that ball. Real break for Scott Gordon, who's the free safety. He took a little bit of a gamble on that one as the deep guy on the play.
Paul McCallum has been busy tonight. The 5th 2 and out for the Lions. Dressler again. Not much room here, but good field position for Darian Durant and the Riders. Well, here is our Purolator sack tally. Sack tally brought to you by Purolator, where business is going, updated through the season. And, of course, Cam Wake with a couple sacks tonight for the BC Lions.
The Lions clearly looking for a few more. Got to believe the pressure's going to be on with young Darian Durant in at quarterback as they try to test him out.
Play action, Durant. And the catch made. And a first down by Andy Fantuz.
And this is the kind of play they've got to continue with, Rod. Get the ball to Cates on the run plays, but also use play action, because that's the kind of thing that's going to take some of the heat off the O-line and buy Darian Durant a little bit of time to throw the football. Nice bit of help here. Keep an eye on Cameron Wake at the right end. Right end of your screen. Neil Hughes, the fullback, chips off of him. That holds Wake up a little bit, buying Durant a little bit extra time to throw the ball.
Cates up the middle. I remember last year when Jarius Jackson was given the football and said, hey, this is your team, go with it for a while here, see how you do. And I remember those first few games were kind of painful for Jarius Jackson, a guy who did a lot in college, went to the NFL, albeit as a free safety. But because you haven't played in a while in a big league atmosphere like Durant, the tendency is to make the big play. And sometimes the nickel and dime stuff like he's doing is more effective.
Yeah, and that's what the coaches have to drill into his head. It's not up to you as a backup quarterback to go in and win the game by yourself. Use your weapons.
Like that one right there. And by doing that, maybe just taking some time off the clock and just kind of plodding your way downfield, getting the points as they come. You never know, you could pull an upset here.
Yeah. One of the big things that occurs for a young player coming into a game, regardless of what position you're playing, is it feels like everything around you is happening very quickly. So running the ball slows things down a little bit, and this is where Wes Cates is so important. You see his numbers last week against Edmonton, 14 carries for 86 yards, punched a couple in the end zone, but also as a receiver, you can get him out in the flat for high percentage passes that become big plays.
Little quick hitter hitch pass there. That could have fallen into the wrong hands. The Lions were right there, but those are the kind of plays that the Riders probably are going to be doing more of. Otis Floyd was in there and almost had a chance at that. Dante Marsh on the corner as well.
Yeah, the Lions defense made that one a little bit of an adventure. But again, a hitch pass. Nice high percentage play. That slows things down for Durant and allows him to get confidence with easy throws first and puts the onus on other guys to make the plays.
Second down and 10. Over the middle. The Riders almost got lucky there because that was an almost certain interception. No white jersey around there. Tad Crawford, the BC Lions, had an instant one there, and they had it in and out of their hands.
Keep an eye on a Darius Bowman at the bottom of your screen. He's just going to run a little hook route over the middle. See anybody covering him yet? Wide open. This is where Darian Durant's got to make the easy decision instead of trying to force the ball deep, as you see, into what was essentially double coverage to Andy Fantuz. Take the high percentage play, young fella.
Luka Kanji. The 41. Kick is up. It is good, and the Riders pull within one. You're watching Wendy's Friday Night Football on TSN. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. When you are in the zone, time almost stands still. Getting into the zone begins with Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. So it is a one-point game. First meeting of the season between the West rivals. Intense rivals. Hey. Marcus Crandall, starting quarterback tonight, now a spectator. Third-string quarterback, Darian Durant, is the man now for the Roughriders. Ian Smart again. Wrapped up and brought down. Mike McCullough. Anton McKenzie on the tackle, and now Jarius Jackson once again.
Jarius Jackson needs to get a couple of drives under his belt. 5 2-and-outs so far for the BC Lions. A couple of turnovers in there as well. Lions talked about how they had such a good week of practice. They've put some yardage up here, but it still hasn't been the kind of sharp effort you expect from a team that's essentially been together for the last couple of years.
Quick one. Far sideline for Paris Jackson, a team that has been the team to beat over the last 3 or 4 years. Wally Buono assembled quite a team here, the BC Lions, and has had a lot of continuity. Back in the backfield, Maurice Lloyd, another injured Rough Rider.
This is your starting middle linebacker, Maurice Lloyd. He's on a twist on the outside. He's going to go up trying to block this. Jason Jimenez, clean play. Cuts him to try and get his hands down. Lloyd comes down hard, ends up a little bit shaken up. You saw him reach for his lower back there.
Bad enough, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Coming to the season with some big changes that, are going to take a little while. New head coach, new quarterback at the helm, essentially with Kerry Joseph gone. New players defensively. They still have the Grey Cup. It's theirs until they lose it, but the injuries tonight are taking its toll on this team. And a couple of big ones earlier. LaRon Mitchell left the game, went to hospital. Ankle injury. Could even be a broken ankle. DJ Flick, a horrific replay as we saw. Bad as it gets.
And now to see what appear to be more minor injuries, but serious for this team in terms of the immediate moment. Starting middle linebacker, Maurice Lloyd, and of course their quarterback, Marcus Crandall, with that hamstring injury.
Jason Claremont moves the yardsticks again.
First down, Lions.
You can see the Lions keep things fairly simple here. Jason Claremont lines up as your inside guy in the 3-man set to the field. And just a hook. He's got a cushion. He reads that, sits it down around the first down marker. Just has to turn and pick up a couple of yards to move the sticks.
Twin backs now. Jackson has to Joe Smith. Read perfectly. Kidwana Jones in on the tackle.
You can't say enough about the play of Kidwana Jones in the early going this season, but even over the course of the last couple of years for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, he's earned a bit of a reputation as just being super sub. Lines up at the end of the line here. His new position for the former linebacker. Beats the block of Jason Claremont inside. Reads run. Crashes down hard to the ball, making a nice play from the backside. You see his numbers over the course of the last 2 years. This is a guy primarily putting up those numbers as a non-starter. He makes things happen.
Jarius Jackson for G-Roy Simon. Overthrows him. Simon was open. He thought he was held up a little bit here, was looking for a penalty flag. No orange on the field. Simon has a chat with Steve Delinick, the field judge.
And G-Roy Simon goes for a little change of pace. James Johnson just got enough of him to throw him off stride, leaving G-Roy Simon unable to catch up to that ball.
Once again, another drive stalls for the BC Lions. Dressler to the sideline. And just stepped out of bounds. Saskatchewan fans have to like what they see from Weston Dressler, though. He finds a hole and he goes.
Yeah, Dressler had a crack here. He got a few nice blocks, but was just a little bit too close to the sideline, was unable to keep it in as he turned it upfield. Get another look at this one. Just that left heel caught the line. He tries to tiptoe it, but a step earlier, the left heel caught the line. Good effort by Jay Pottinger to knock him off stride. That's what caused him to go out.
Saskatchewan fans just have a little time warp here, seeing number 4 at quarterback. Darian Durant. Last guy who wore number 4. Had a season for the ages last year in Saskatchewan, and now is with the Toronto Argonauts.
Yeah, Kerry Joseph, of course, the league's most outstanding player in 2007. Tremendous season, really blossomed under the guidance of Kent Austin. Led the Riders on that great run down the stretch, and of course led them to that victory in the Grey Cup.
Matt Dominguez hasn't seen the football since the first half. Near side of the field. Will they go to Dominguez? No! Durant is brought down. Cam Wake again. Wake gets the sack, but that was a gang tackle.
Yeah, the BC Lions brought the house here. You're going to see a few different looks. Wake is going to come off the right end, and he just keeps working, but he's the beneficiary of Aaron Hunt splitting that double team up the middle. Reggie Miles came on the blitz from the secondary because they're in that nickel package. Of course, Brent Johnson joining the party in the backfield as well.
Darian Durant thrown to the Lions here tonight. 4.5 minutes to go. Quarter number 3. Jamie Borum just got that away. Ian Smart trying to give his team good field position. Jarius Jackson and the Lions will start in Rider territory with a 1-point lead. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Nissan's Make the Call. Play on cfl.nissan.ca for your chance to win a trip to the Grey Cup. What has been largely a defensive game here tonight. BC Lions, great field position to start here. After their front 4 comes up big. Huge sack on Darian Durant. Jarius Jackson calls his own number here on his first play from scrimmage, and that was the play right away.
Yeah, you can't even call this one a quarterback draw. This looks more like a quarterback dive, an attempted quick hitter. Saskatchewan defense was all over that one, held him to a 1-yard gain.
We talked earlier about the Lions telling us about having a good week in practice, but the fact that the weather hasn't been very good here has held the Lions back in their preparation for this season.
Yeah, so much said about the Lions standing pat over the course of the off-season. You expect them to get off to a quick start, but that weather hampered their training camp and even their preparation going into week 1.
And once again, BC Lions ineptitude on second down. Their last 8 plays on second down, total of minus 10 yards. But yeah, because of the weather, there were only a few facilities, and one facility that they had actually had field turf. They don't even think about things like that, but it did hamper their efforts in tuning up for 08.
Yeah, absolutely. Typically, grass fields, you want to be on grass as much as you can. That saves a lot of wear and tear on the body. When those grass fields get wet, especially early in the season, when you're on them for 2-a-days, you're going to tear them apart when they're soaking wet. So you got to find an artificial surface, and that's not easy to do when you're not using your own stadium.
Paul McCallum. Good kick here. Shadows of the goalpost now for Darian Durant. A 44-yard punt by Paul McCallum. And big pressure tonight by the BC front four.
Yeah, it hasn't mattered who's been in there at quarterback for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. It's not a matter of just trying to get to the young guys. They were all over Marcus Crandall. You saw Brent Johnson, Aaron Hunt, Cameron Waite. They're just doing what they do. These guys bring it. And such a strong front four. So much credit goes to the big nose tackle, Tyrone Williams, who will draw a lot of double teams, that it takes a lot of the attention away. You got to single block all these guys.
Durant again now near his goal line. Look out, in trouble, swallowed again. Guess who?
And it looked for a minute here like Darian Durant wanted to get to the outside. But Cameron Wake's been beaten on that a couple times early in this game. Not going to happen again. Recognizes all the way, scooches down, beats the block from Fantus, maintains outside leverage before pinching in to make the tackle. Nice job by the league's most outstanding defensive player, Cameron Wake.
3 sacks tonight. Again, he had 16 a year ago. Aaron Hunt is down right now, but we talk about this being a defensive battle. And now, since it obviously has become that, game of field position, and a Paul McCallum kick like that is critical to the Lions.
Yeah, we saw Paul McCallum almost get the perfect kick. Earlier, he bounced one on the goal line before it went out and ended up going for a single. For this one, they say coffin corner. That's what Paul McCallum delivered. With the Saskatchewan Roughriders already in a hole in terms of their offensive personnel as a result of these injuries. What Paul McCallum has done to the Riders with the field position here is huge.
Had a tough week last week in Edmonton with the swirling winds. Or Calgary, rather, with the swirling winds. Well, Tuesday night, Rogers Jays on TSN. The Baltimore Orioles fly into Toronto to take on Vernon Wells and the Jays. Live coverage begins at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Available on TSN High Definition. BC Lions again starting the season with a loss last week against those Calgary Stampeders. Wally Buono knows how difficult it's been against the guys in green.
Yeah, the Roughriders have really become Wally Buono's nemesis over the last few years. Since 2003, you see that record. 24-11-1 against the rest of the West, completely dominating the East, winning 34 of 40, 5-10 against Saskatchewan. Just the one team that has had their number.
You know, they knew it last year too. Aaron Hunt getting up now. Lions beat the Riders 2 of 3 last year in the regular season, but the biggest game was that West Final, of course, and Lions had a terrific season, a 14-win season. Aaron Hunt taking his time.
It hurts, but the big fella can still manage a smile.
He really used to look forward to these games with Saskatchewan. He had a chance to see his brother Reggie now in Montreal.
Yeah, bragging rights used to be on the line, but I'm sure Aaron Hunt still has no problem getting fired up for these Saskatchewan Roughriders.
And one of the Hunt brothers has won a Grey Cup the last 2 years. Aaron winning in 2006 and Reggie winning last year. BC and Saskatchewan have owned the Grey Cup the last 2 years. Another big play here. 2nd and 11. Durant has to dance. Lets it go. Oh, and the official taken out. No catch. Sean Kerr, side judge, was nailed there, and that's the kind of night it has been. He was blindsided. Matt Crawford coming across.
Kerr was so focused on the play and watching what was going on away from the ball didn't even react to the two players diving towards him. He was sitting duck on that one.
You know, those guys in the stripes never seem to get a lot of respect. Only seem to get noticed when it's a bad call or a bad play. But, you know, they do such great work and do a lot of training in the offseason. We want to send our best out to Glenn Johnson as well, a detached retina. One of the best officials in the game. Looks like Sean Kerr's all right. He gets up. Well, the West final, Kerry Joseph, Andy Fantuz. BC Lions were poised, they thought, to go to the Cup again. Riders had different thoughts.
Yeah, Saskatchewan Roughriders built momentum as the season went on, and they were red hot down the stretch. Not even the BC Lions had a tremendous regular season to overcome that giant green ball of momentum.
Jamie Borum's back. Will give up 2 points here. That makes it a 3-point game. And all of that was set up by that punt by Paul McCallum.
Yeah, you may recall that the BC Lions, after their last touchdown, tried to go for a 2-point convert and were unsuccessful. Paul McCallum just got them those 2 points back with a great punt.
I think this guy gets excited for these Saskatchewan Roughrider games.
No doubt about it. Long-time Saskatchewan Roughrider.
He's in this building where he became the Wrath. He went home, Rider fans, and then eventually ended up in BC and then won a cup and the Grey Cup. It's a terrific rivalry between these two teams. Has gone through BC or Saskatchewan the last 2 years.
Well, we talked briefly off the top. You have some rivalries that just occur naturally in terms of geography. We saw those last night, Toronto and Hamilton, the Battle of Ontario, the Battle of Alberta in Edmonton, between the Stampeders and Eskimos. This is a rivalry that's just developed in recent years because of what's gone on between the two teams.
So Borum, you're right. Borum now, after giving up that safety, kicks it off. Under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Ian Smart trying to find a block or two, a penalty flag down. Jarius Jackson last week, he and Buck Pierce shared the load in that loss to the Stampeders.
Both had their ups and downs last week. Or Buck Pierce's numbers. 9 of 14. Just had trouble getting things going. It was consistency that was the issue for the Lions last week.
On the return, illegal interference, number 45, Saskatchewan. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Buck Pierce took a couple of shots and has that shoulder injury, a shoulder separation suffered last year that may be a recurring thing for him, quite frankly, this year. So he's sitting this week while Jarius Jackson gets the start, but if things don't get moving, it wouldn't be a shock to see Buck Pierce come in.
Especially on their second down conversion so far. Those numbers, 16 of 27, 164 yards. Defenses have dominated here tonight. And the Riders, despite all these injuries, if you were a betting guy coming into this game, you might have thought that they might not have a chance against the Lions here. With all the injuries going on, they might be able to sneak one out. Joe Smith rumbles.
The longer this game stays close, Rod, it's so true. The more nervous the BC Lions have to get about their missed opportunities earlier in the game.
You've got a third-string quarterback playing. You've got one of the star receivers out for Saskatchewan. See how it plays out. Second down and 2 now. A to Smith again. Head down, and depending on the spot here, this might require a third down play for the BC Lions.
Saskatchewan's done a decent job here tonight with their short yardage defense.
Well, defenses win championships, they say, in many ways. You know, you look at what Saskatchewan did last year, too, with Fred Perry and Reggie Hunt and their defensive attack. They're going to be short here by a few inches.
Jarius Jackson stays in the game. Lions are going to go for it here on third down. Out around midfield, so they're not quite so nervous about the field position.
There's Richie Hall, defensive coordinator. His name was bandied about as possibly being a head coaching candidate when the job was vacated by Kent Austin. Who would have thought at the time that after winning a Grey Cup, Kent Austin would have gone south? The opportunity presented itself. Third down, straight ahead. Oh my goodness. And again, this will depend on the spot. There is a flag on the play. And it's way back at the Saskatchewan 45-yard line.
He didn't need much, but he didn't get much. Terrific stand in the middle of that defensive line led by Marcus Adams and Scott Schultz, the D tackles.
And it looks like it might be going against Saskatchewan. Bringing out the yardsticks. I don't think they got it here. They're not even close. And so it is Saskatchewan ball. There's a flag on the play. You saw the Roughriders all upset about something. But guess what?
After the play, major foul, face mask, Saskatchewan number 15. 15-yard penalty, Saskatchewan ball, first down.
There you go. So let's take a look at the stop. There's also a penalty, but it is turned over.
Keep an eye right over top of the ball, the middle of your line. Watch this surge from Marcus Adams, Scott Schultz. No forward push whatsoever from the BC Lions. It's all the white jerseys crossing the line, not the orange ones. This penalty occurs away from the ball and after the play on Lance Frazier, but because it was after the play, technically the change of possession had occurred.
So a turnover on downs. Wes Cates takes it up the middle.
Well, this is the guy we expect to see more and more of.
6-yard pickup. Let's take a look at the play here. Let's watch Maurice Lloyd here. Here it is here on the right side, and there it is. There's the face mask right there.
Yeah, they announced the penalty on Lance Frazier, but clearly called the wrong number. You saw Maurice Lloyd in a wrestling match there with Rolly Limbala.
What might be the final play of the third quarter. Vantouz. And he is going to be stopped short. He lunges ahead. Maybe a generous spot here. It's going to be third and short. And that's the end of the third quarter. A 3-point ball game. Lions lead the injured Riders. Here are our third quarter numbers brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always, and obviously not big numbers here tonight.
No, they're sure not. The BC Lions clearly dominating as Saskatchewan struggles offensively, but not an offensive showcase for them by any stretch of the imagination. and the turnovers continue to hurt, and that's what's allowed Saskatchewan to hang around in this football game.
And hang around, you are right. And I would think that the BC Lions, unless they can get any kind of sustained drive, they're having a lot of trouble on second down. I think you have to give a lot of credit here tonight to the Saskatchewan defense.
Yeah, and this is where you talk about football being a game that has 3 phases, and when one of them is struggling, if the other 2 can step up a little bit, you've got a chance.
What about the BC Lions now and their offense? I mean, they got all the weapons from last year. They still obviously have a quarterback question, Jarius Jackson and Buck Pierce, but you can't lay all of this on Jarius Jackson here tonight.
No, some of the other guys have to step up and make a few plays for him. The offensive line dealing with the absence of 2 starters, and it's not always obvious, but that's something that affects your whole team. Those are the engine that makes this thing run.
Yeah, big factor. You're right. So 3rd and just over a yard. Jamie Borum, this game of field position, this little chess match tonight. We've got flags all over the place. Ian Smart, those flags were flying before that ball was kicked, so sometimes that might signal either too many men or not enough or an illegal formation. We'll have to find out what this is.
BC Lions, too many men on the field.
Oh boy, and that will give the Saskatchewan offense a chance to get back on the field here.
Too many men, BC. 10-yard penalty, first down.
You don't see that very often from a Wally Buono coach team.
No, you sure don't. You see Wally's reaction to it. A guy who's not really a yeller and a screamer. But if you could read his lips, it looked like the last words there were, do your job, know your job.
So the Riders now get a chance to move it some more. Darian Durant now from the 45 of BC. Costly miscue by the Lions. Durant swings one out to Cates. Cates hammered out of bounds. But like you said early on, this is probably the MO right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Love the play call. There's nothing glamorous about it, nothing fancy. Doesn't necessarily scare the BC Lions or threaten them, but it gets the ball into the hands of their best offensive player in a way that's not risky with a young quarterback in the game. If the Lions are going to back off and give Wes Cates that kind of room for an 8-yard gain, why not keep doing it?
Second down, 3 yards to go. Cates in the backfield. Will he get the call? Yes, he gets the ball. And he gets very close, if not the first down. There is a penalty flag on the far side of the field once again. Ken Miller got a win in his debut last week.
BC number 91, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Cam Wake jumping. Last week, Dwayne Ford, all of the new head coaches got wins. Maybe, who knows? The odds, you would think, after Marcus Crandall went down and everything that's been going on with the Riders tonight, would be stacked against them. But they are Grey Cup champions.
They are, and they're, in spite of all the changes, there are still a lot of guys in that dressing room who won the big game just a few months ago. Durant looking for Dominguez, but thrown way behind him. He gets rocked just as he threw the football. Well, we talked about Darian Durant's need to avoid forcing footballs. Dante Marsh has pretty good coverage on Matt Dominguez on this one. Seemed as though Durant got locked in on his primary receiver and didn't progress through his reads on that one.
Just 3 of 9 since he came in for Stephen Giles, who came in for Marcus Crandall, the 3rd stringer. In the pocket. Has to run now. Look out here. And that will be close to a first down. Be a long 3rd. Long yard here for third down, but the kind of game you got right now. This might be the call for Luka Kanji. Get your points and get out. Tie this game up. Looks like third and a long yard.
Kanji makes his way in, and credit Darian Durant. We've been somewhat critical of his decision-making here tonight, but that time, recognizing that his receivers were covered, pressure was coming, instead of trying to force something up, making a bad decision, took off straight up the field and took what he could get. That just makes it an easier kick, in theory, for Luka Kanji.
32 yards this time. Right down Main Street. And we are all tied here at BC Place, the home opener for the Lions. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Future Shop. The Saskatchewan Roughriders 16, the BC Lions 16. Game tonight bereft of any really big plays, big offensive plays, game-breaking plays. The defenses have come to play here tonight. Smart now. And once again, another penalty on the play. Smart will limp off.
Illegal block. BC number 91. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Penalty certainly not helping the BC Lions here.
We said it earlier. You control the things you can control. You see right here is where the block occurs. Cameron Wake with the shot from behind. That's where you've got to make the decision to just lay off. Letting the guy go is going to cause less harm than the yards you give up on the penalty.
Turnovers have been a big part of this game. Riders have scored 13 of their 16 off of turnovers tonight, and we still have lots of time here. Turnovers. Oh, Jackson got rocked. G-Roy Simon can't run under that football. Jarius Jackson slow to get up.
Jarius Jackson was wide open to take that hit from Kidwana Jones, fully extended to throw the football. Jones is going to come from the right side of your screen. He's the rush end. Well, Chick is the man who actually delivers the shot coming through the middle. Jones off the edge with some pressure, but Chick is the one who actually delivers the shot as Jackson throws the football.
Let's see if the second down woes continue for the BC Lions. This has been a problem here. Good time downfield, and a nice play. Great coverage. Eddie Davis all over Jason Claremont, and once again the Lions have to kick the ball away.
Eddie Davis, the veteran here in his 14th year, playing a position that relies so much on agility and quickness. Eddie Davis has got all that, plus 14 years worth of smarts, right with Jason Claremont. Times that jump perfectly, remaining one of the best cover guys in the game.
It ain't over. It ain't over. Say nobody.
Eddie Davis is one of the leaders of this defense, and they have stepped up here tonight.
Paul McCallum. Dressler. It's smoked there by Jason Claremont. But good field position coming up for Darian Durant, the Riders. Now they got Rider Priders all over making the trek. BC plays tonight. They're on. And they might be able to sneak one out here tonight. Third string quarterback Darian Durant in the game. Maybe that jersey's a lucky one. Number 4. Play action, well disguised. Andy Fantuz with a catch. Durant showed some stuff there.
Yeah, some poise. Nice time on the rollout. A little bit of play action inside, which helps to hold up the offensive line, and that comes from using Wes Cates. You see Andy Fantuz fight through the coverage of Reggie Miles. Gets himself open, makes a nice catch. Came all the way across the field on that one. Working his way through traffic.
Working their way to the red zone. Durant feeling it now. Look out, though. The heat comes. Brent Johnson and Cameron Wake. They can share that one.
Well, you know the heat is eventually going to come when you've got those two bookends, Brent Johnson and Cameron Wake. It looked here like Darius Durant might have had a quick shot out to the flat. You'll see Wes Cates out there. A couple of routes opened up quickly. Darian Durant's got to make a real quick decision, but the Lions did a nice job of closing the pocket around him. Everybody got upfield there. 6 sacks on the night. BC front.
Durant now comes to the sideline. As they talk about this, let's go down to the sideline and join Sarah.
Thanks so much, Rod. Well, the Lions defense has been playing really well in this game. Their offense continues to struggle, and it's led to a lot of frustration on the sidelines, whether it be from head coach Wally Bono or some of the offensive line. Everybody trying to get motivated, trying to get something going here in this fourth quarter as they continue to struggle to convert on those second downs.
Well, Sarah, over the last 10 plays, second down conversions, the Lions are minus 8 yards. They haven't been able to pick up first downs. Here's a big second down play now for the Roughriders. Here comes the house. There goes Wes Cates with a hurdle. Wes Cates. And he picks up a first down. Lions were bringing everybody.
But this is recognition of a trend. The chess game continues. Checkmate here for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They know they're bringing the house. They've got the ends coming free. Ricky Foley and Tad Crawford, they've got the screen on to Wes Cates. They let the rush come. That creates an open level behind. You see those offensive linemen get out for their blocks. And there goes Wes Cates to do his thing. Great play call from Ken Miller and that offensive coaching staff.
And a good time for Darian Durant to come over, because a key play in this ball game right now. Another first down inside the 15-yard line. Cates again. Wes Cates scores. Touchdown. Good halftime adjustment.
Terrific halftime adjustment. Put the ball in the hands of your money man, Wes Cates. Terrific run. Nice little change of pace here. He knows this hole is going to open up. Cates lines up in the backfield right beside Durant. Hesitate, let it open. And there he is. Not Andy Fantuz. Wes Cates opens up, and away he goes.
I think the BC Lion fans are shell-shocked right now. So many opportunities on second down wasted, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders feasted. Wes Cates touchdown, 23-16 Riders. When in doubt, give the ball to Wes Cates.
Pretty good strategy for the Saskatchewan Roughriders here in the second half. Simplifying things for their young quarterback. But also using a pretty productive player very well. Get it to him in different ways. We've seen swing passes, screen passes. Of course, Wes Cates on the ground.
Ian Smart bouncing around. Saskatchewan Roughriders now owning a 7-point advantage BC Lions have to play from behind here. Just unable to move the football here in this second half. Gone away from Joe Smith. Had a problem on second downs. Maybe now they can start moving it. Play action. Big play again. G-Roy Simon, and it's picked off. Lance Frazier has it, and he's got running room. Frazier still on his feet. And what a turn of events here in BC Place. That is about 3 or 4 times they've gone to G-Roy Simon, and he's been blanketed.
4th turnover of the game for the BC Lions. And an odd decision again. Looked like Jarius Jackson got locked in here. He's throwing into double coverage. The safety is helping out the halfback, who had pretty good coverage himself. Gordon's there and deflects the ball to Frazier for the pick. Lots of time left in this game. There wasn't a need to force the ball deep.
Well, you talked earlier about Buck Pierce.
Hey, AJ.
Looks like he's picking up a football on the far sideline. We might see him. There he is. Jarius Jackson has just been ineffective in this second half. BC Lions offense ineffective. And so now, huge turnover. Interception by Frazier. And another chance for the Saskatchewan Roughriders to expand their lead here.
And all that's gone on in the last couple possessions is the Saskatchewan Roughriders' confidence, particularly that of Darian Durant, has grown.
But they fumble the football. Picked up by Cates.
Lucky break for the Riders there. Some trouble on the exchange. Because as you can imagine, Darian Durant is the number 3 quarterback. Doesn't take a lot of snaps from Jeremy O'Day, the number 1 center. Looked like Durant pulled out a little bit early, but fortunately the ball rolled in the right direction. They're calling a Rider bounce.
Again, lots of time left here in the 4th. Just under 7 minutes now. Riders by a converted touchdown. Swing pass again. Guess who again? Cates. Wes Cates fights for the first down.
Most running backs will tell you the more they touch the ball, the stronger they get. And Wes Cates is proving that theory here in the second half. With every play, he gathers momentum. Look at the convoy out in front of Wes Cates as they get those offensive line out in front of him on that swing screen. Well executed. And really, did Wes Cates need blockers? Look at the effort fighting through tacklers. Credit Wes Cates for the performance. Credit Darian Durant for getting it done here these last couple series. But credit the coaching staff for recognizing what they needed to do.
Came over in a trade, big trade with the Calgary Stampeders last June. Everybody talked about being such a key acquisition. That time he stopped in his tracks.
Cameron Wake and the front 4 have had a solid night. Wake had a couple costly penalties earlier, however, and is looking to redeem himself here.
BC Lions defense done a terrific job here tonight. Penalties have not helped. Turnovers have been costly for the Lions here. Another big second down, another draw play. And it's been all Wes Cates in this second half. This one's going to depend on the spot. It's going to be very close to a first down. And it looks like it's going to be probably a half yard. Big decision here. You got momentum, you're moving the football, or do you take the points?
Against a BC offense that's been struggling, I'm taking the points and putting them in a position where they have to score twice in the last 5 minutes of the game. A team that hasn't been able to do anything at all in the second half offensively. Calculated risk. put more points on the board.
And Luka Conji's on the field. There's no doubt here they're now kicking the field goal. So Buck Pierce is going to try to lead the BC Lions back here. And under the heading, who would have thought? When the Lions really had control of the ball game, you thought moving the football. Riders reduced to their third string quarterback. Doesn't happen very often in the Canadian Football League. You see this. But boy, propelled by a great defense, and Eric Tillman has to be smiling right now. This guy who once built a team here in BC to a Grey Cup winner. Wendy's CFL on TSN Friday Night Football is brought to you in part by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. It's way delicious. It's Wendy's. And by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people. So now comes Buck. All the talk this week about Jarius Jackson starting. Buck Pierce now in the game. First pass is a strike to Corey Rogers.
Quick slant to Corey Rogers. Good start for Buck Pierce. Trying to change the pace of the game a little bit. The Lions are trying to hurry things up, going to a no-huddle offense and try and catch that Saskatchewan defense on their heels. So change of pace on 2 counts.
Last week, Buck Pierce took the brunt of the criticism. This week, Jarius Jackson. Pierce rolling. In pursuit, almost picked off. That would have been number 2 for Lance Frazier.
Well, even Buck Pierce falling a little bit into the same trap as Jarius Jackson did. Passed up a shorter route. Going to take a look at that one. Paris Jackson being accused of by Lance Frazier. A little offensive pass interference. You saw him grab Frazier's left arm there. Nice defensive play by the offensive player.
10-point lead. Pierce is brought down. First sack given up by the BC offensive line here tonight, and once again the busiest BC Lion tonight has been Paul McCallum back on the field. 3 minutes and change left. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders may be able to pull one out here under adverse conditions.
Difficult night for them. First of all, with the injuries leaving them short-handed, but also the emotional impact that can have on a team, the psychological effect of some devastating injuries. Well, the Riders have stepped up, particularly that defense.
Dressler out of bounds. 3-minute warning. The Riders 3 minutes away from going 2-0. The game story tonight brought to you by MGD. Nothing to hide.
Number 1 story here in the early going, especially those injuries that threatened to kill the Saskatchewan Roughriders tonight. They've managed to rally around that. For BC, Joe Smith has pounded in the end zone a couple times, and the defensive front, led by Cameron Wake, has had a huge night. But the way it's been here in the second half, all about Wes Cates. Turned in a monstrous half. And that's given the Saskatchewan Roughriders a chance here to hold on for a victory.
Now they have to eat some of that clock up. 2.5 minutes to go. Cates has 85 yards in the second half.
He becomes so critical now. You mentioned a minute ago, Rod, trying to eat up some time on the clock. They've played a good high percentage game here. Good adjustments in the second half by the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And their coaching staff putting the ball in the hands of Wes Cates. No reason to change that now.
You know, I think I don't think it was panic, but certainly a lot of concern in Riderland. Maybe from other critics around the game about, you know, all of the big changes that happened, the coaching change, quarterback change, Fred Perry, Reggie Hunt. That doesn't happen to champions. You don't see champions trade their MVP.
Well, sometimes you get so caught up in who's gone, you forget about who's still here, and that's Wes Cates.
Does it again. And a chance to put 2 wins on the board to open the season. Might just allay any more concern.
Well, this one's kind of slow to develop. You'll see Cates, the tailback in the I formation. Little counterplay. You watch his fullback, Neil Hughes, terrific block. Cates reads that and bounces it to the outside. Moves the chains. Everybody knew they were going to run the football in that situation, but good execution trumped it. How about that balance? 68 yards rushing, 68 yards receiving. Dual threat.
Hang on to the football again this time. Neil Hughes. Oh, and he's got a first down. If they play it properly here, this W could be put in the column very shortly. I wonder, too, how much it is that suddenly you become a champion, what that means, and how you carry yourself, and the belief that you have in your teammates. And I think that says a lot. The fact that this team hoisted the cup back in November, they're showing that they don't want to give it up that easy.
Yeah, we talked a little bit even last night about teams learning how to win. Important for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the Edmonton Eskimos, to learn how to win and how important that is to a team's confidence. These Saskatchewan Roughriders learned last year how to win games, how to grind them out. We're seeing that right now.
They'll be in Hamilton next week, and I guess there are some concerns now, obviously, about Marcus Crandall and, you know, his health. Wait, Darian Durant has performed here tonight. You might be thinking about giving him a shot.
Yeah, in a weird sort of way, you don't want it to happen through injury, but the Saskatchewan Roughriders needed their young quarterbacks to play and to develop another quarterback, get another quarterback some experience so they'd have confidence if something did happen. We all know in this league that you can't just rely on one guy. Quarterbacks have to run the football. Quarterbacks are going to throw the ball 35 times a game. They're going to get hit. The risk is there of injury for any QB in the Canadian Football League. It happened earlier than the Saskatchewan Roughriders ever would have hoped. But Darian Durant has weathered the storm, and this will be huge for his development.
Think about it. The last time the guy played in a meaningful game, like played and was a part of a team in a meaningful game for him, was back in college at North Carolina.
Yeah.
A basketball school.
Yeah, he's been developing rust over the last couple of years in terms of his game skills, but you got to credit what he's done in the film room and in practice, keeping those skills sharp and being ready when the time came.
Maybe it's that number 4 jersey, too.
Yeah, there might be a little bit of magic left in that.
A minute to go. BC Lions need to score quickly here, like right away. If there's any hope at all left, or they are going 0-2 to start the season. And a penalty flag comes out again. They got Jamie Borum. And you know what? With this penalty, pretty much game over now. Well, it's time now for the TSN Turning Point. Brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders defense, the BC Lions. 3rd and 1 situation. Lions had 2 cracks at this to get a yard. How about that surge from the Saskatchewan front? Great effort turning over the ball and turning the momentum.
The TSN Turning Point, brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra, professional grade. .53 seconds to go. And Wally Buono and the BC Lions are going to fall to 0-2. Before this season began, the biggest question mark in the West hovered over the Grey Cup champions. The biggest question mark in the West now hovers over the BC Lions.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And they're the team that was supposed to be the greatest certainty. Team that had a dominant regular season last year and stayed together. There was continuity. Everyone expected them to pick up where their regular season left off last year.
Well, the Friday Night Gladiator, brought to you by Castrol. More than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
When the Saskatchewan Roughriders needed to get things turned, they went to their man, number 20, Wes Cates. He put this team on his back, doing whatever he was asked to do to make things happen for this struggling offense. Carrying the ball, catching passes, fighting off tacklers. Tremendous effort by Wes Cates to lead his team to victory.
And he will never be late for anything. He's got one for the other wrist now. Gladiator last week.
Christmas shopping's going to be easy for Wes Cates this year.
Beautiful Movado 800 series watch for him. Another one. Wes Cates, you pegged it. Said they had to make an adjustment. That was the adjustment. A bold new sports watch collection for men and women. Movado, the art of performance. Wes Cates leads the Canadian Football League in Movado watches. Well, I guess I stand corrected. He had a big game, but I don't think he was the Gladiator. So he's got one now.
That's a start. I have a feeling Wes Cates might get a couple more of those before.
Oh, absolutely. Biggest thing is here, the Saskatchewan Roughriders are going to take the win. They will start this season 2-0. Last week, Ken Miller got the shower. His first win as a head coach. He's undefeated so far.
Did I just hear somebody say Kent who?
Now, they'll never say that in Riderland after last year, but boy, oh boy. The Grey Cup champions. Their offense banged up. Their defense still A-OK. The Riders win 26-16. And the defending Grey Cup champions are undefeated in 2008. SportsCenter's next.